Welcome to Attican Plays Pharaoh, A New Era. All right, hi, this is Attican and welcome to Series 1, Episode 29 of our playthrough of Pharaoh, A New Era. We are doing we're doing Itjtawy. We're creating a new capital because we are Pharaoh. And with that comes a lot of responsibility. We have to meet a lot of requests. This particular mission is all about meeting requests and hitting a culture goal of 60, building a big city of 7,500. We've got 2 pyramids and a sphinx to build and all that good stuff. Now, in the last one, we got off to a great start. We focused on linen for our first export, and we started. I explained how the culture rating is very tough now and very different from the original Pharaoh, and it took me a long time to come to grips with that. Johnny Hughes and I have had all kinds of conversations about culture, and he had the great advantage on me of having never played Pharaoh, so he didn't come into it with the same prejudices I had, and I keep wanting this to be Pharaoh, and it's not. It's Pharaoh, A New Era, and that's fine. That's fine. It's a new game, and just got to learn the new game. And so there are some differences in culture. We talked about them in the last episode. I won't beat them to death here, except to say that right now, what it's really done is told us, let's get our work done and then worry about the culture. So let's focus on getting those pyramids built. Let's get our economy strong. Let's build up our kingdom, get our population up, all that stuff we have to do, and nurture and feed our people and evolve our housing, all that good stuff, and then use that to move forward. So what I'm doing right there is actually rearranging a little so I can get some more clay, because we need clay for the potters and we need clay for our bricks. So anywhere I can get a little bit of clay, I'm going for it. So so basically, this is just evolving the housing and continue to grow, continue to do that work, and continuing to grow our city. So here we've the work camps have cleared out enough so that we can start the guild process. So we need stonemasons. We've got those, but we need carpenters and we need bricklayers so that we can actually build the monument. So this monument's a little more complicated, not much, but the core is brick and the outside's limestone. So you need bricklayers to lay the bricks, and you need stonemasons to put the outside casing on it, the limestone casing. And then, of course, you need carpenters to build scaffolding and ramps so that you can get up to the higher levels of your monument. So that's why you need 3 guilds rather than the usual 2, or the 2 that we've had up till now. And so, and we need the wood. We're going to start importing wood. There's a land, Dakla Oasis is still our buddy. Will sell us wood, so we're going to import from Dakla Oasis and set up our carpentry, so they're ready. There we throw in the bricklayers, so now we've got the stonemasons, we've got the bricklayers. And you can see that first buildings that they're hauling limestone. That's because we just had stonemasons out there. Now that we're going to recruit some bricklayers, we'll start seeing those bricks getting hauled out as well. So yeah, that's about it. We're making progress on that. We've added a second big block up here to expand and continue to grow and reach our critical the target population. And I made a huge mistake here. I mean, it didn't end up hurting because everything was solid enough, but there's no tax collector in that block, and those are common residences. That's a lot of money not being collected. So really, just prior to this, I just started thinking about the culture rating, and went through and made sure we had mortuaries in all of our housing blocks. And now we're starting to look at, do we have enough coverage? And you can see, as far as the stages go, juggler stages, musicians, dancers were perfect. And of course, it comes down to now execution, keeping them busy. So we've got the morticians in all of them. I think I can't remember. There's some point. I think we have dentists in all of them. We may not. Maybe that comes later. So now I'm going to add a Senate House now, and you'll see the design here. The whole idea with this Temple Complex and Village Palace right here between these two blocks. What we're going to do is actually, because we don't want to use up too much. And actually, right there, I'll interrupt myself and say, okay, well now we see that our local gods we've grown very quickly, taking in a lot of people, and our local guards have our local gods are not happy. So fortunately, we caught that just in time. And here's another one of those kind of. This seems like overkill to me, but we're going to have to add if we're going to do the temple route, we're just going to have to add more temples. So I'm creating this little area out here so I can just throw some temples down. They're not needed. This part of the game, this is not my, yeah. Shut up. All right, I'll shut up. Anyway, we'll throw down some temples here to get us some extra religious coverage, just for the culture rating. We don't need them to grow anything. We do need to keep them happy. We could throw down a lot of shrines, but I'm trying to go temples. So here we go, a bunch more temples into our community, or into our city. And here I decided to go ahead and start the Sphinx because we're having, it's basically getting bricks. Our brick supply is slowing down our construction. So if our guild workers can go out there and in their off time when they don't have bricks, they can go out there and work on the Sphinx, go to it. And as you saw, we just started adding another large block down on the west bank of our city because we just need more population. We're kind of out of space up here. There's room up above us. We could do something, but I'm trying to keep using this new block, and I want to keep going with that. You notice too, we've started moving meat over to the east bank. So the purpose, you'll see why a little later, but we're going to take advantage of that meat to be a second type of food for some of our houses. So here's where we're really starting to pile up those entertainers. I was talking about how you had to kind of transition to lots of entertainers. The city's getting bigger and bigger. We need a lot of entertainers to keep these venues moving and to keep the participation up, so that we don't have too many empty booths and juggling booths and bandstands and dancing pavilions. Okay, you see we're a culture of 55, and it mentions we need more scribal schools. Now, when you see that message with the culture advisor, what it's telling you is this is the thing you need to improve to get to your next rating. This is the thing that's keeping you from moving to another rating. At least that's how it used to be, and I'm fairly certain that's still true. So if we put in some scribal schools, and that's why I've got some space here. I left the extra space in each of these blocks because I knew the extra schools would be needed. We probably need like roughly 3 in each block in order to get the job done. So if we're going to have all these schools and all that, all that need for the papyrus, we better start making some more papyrus. So bumped up that industry, and we put in those ratings. And I'm kind of hoping, I can't remember, I'm hoping we pull up the culture rating again and see what happened after we put all those schools in there. And it looks like, unfortunately, I had other fish to fry and had a bunch of other things to do and didn't get it back around to it. I wish I'd come right back to it. It would have been a good illustration of what I was talking about. Now we're going to open up a trade route to Byblos so that we can start importing ivory. We need luxury good for 2 purposes. One, we need to dispatch some ivory with our pyramids as part of the burial provisions, and then we have a second purpose in mind for that ivory as we're preparing for those stately manors. We're just getting ready for them. I was in a kind of an interesting trade-off all the way through this. Could have made more money if I'd gone ahead and put in some manors. They make tremendous money with taxes. However, you do that, they take away your workforce. Remember, those people don't work, they're scribes. They consume a lot of stuff, and they don't contribute anything other than some documentation about how great your city is or how bad your city is, depending. And so if you go too early with them, yes, you've got money, but suddenly you've got no workers and everything shuts down, and you could end up losing your workers and blowing your city. So I decided to be very conservative here. There's the 55. We took care of the problem. It's still 55, but we took care of the problem with the schools. Now we need a Senate House, and this is all playing into the whole deal with we're trying to get ready to have our manors. So it's probably good timing for that message. And actually, I think we do have one Senate House right where it needs to be at this point, but we are one short. You need 2. See, we were up 6,500 population now. At 5,000, you cross that barrier where you now need a second Senate House, right? The first Senate House will cover your first 5,000 people, but as soon as you cross that 5,000, 5,001, you need a second Senate House in order to get 100% coverage on the Senate House component of your entertainment. So now we've imported some ivory. We're going to deliver it to the burial as a burial provision, and now we've done all of our burial provisions. So we're ready to go. As soon as these things are done, we're finished. So we've got the Sphinx built. We're well on the way to the medium mud brick pyramid, which is taking a lot of bricks, and that's what's holding it up, basically the bricks and having enough workers. If I play this one again, I might work toward building out more of the housing blocks faster, getting people a little bit faster so that I can have more bricks. I'd also recommend a better plan for creating the bricks. And here what I decided to do actually was to open up trade. We can actually buy 1,500 brick a year from, I think it's from, well, it's a land route. I think it's Stocklow Oasis again, but we're going to import to maintain 3,200. So whenever that trader comes through, if he sees we're short on bricks, he's going to give us some. And we've got the money now. Our economy's decent, and we can do that. We can import those bricks and just give us that extra little bit. So that's 1,500 a year is kind of like having 3 more brickmakers staffed and up and running. So that's why we did it, just to speed things up a little bit. Now down here, I wanted to put in a storage yard system to go get some grain, get some pottery, get some beer, get some linen, get some papyrus to support this group down here, so that the bazaar lady doesn't have to work quite so hard to keep everybody satisfied in that new large block we built down here on the West Bank. So now we're going to see the design of getting those stately manors come into play. We've got that high desirability section there with the temple complex and the city palace. And so what we're going to do is put in a second bazaar lady, but this bazaar is only going to buy the meat, that would be the meat from our cattle ranches, and linen and luxury goods. So what's going to happen is she's going to go around, I say she, well, they are she. She's going to go around that rectangle with the village palace and the complex, and she will service the houses from the other 2 blocks that are adjacent to that temple complex area. And that way we'll have a select set of houses that are getting linen and luxury goods, so we won't have to bring in thousands of luxury goods at a great cost and put them all over the city. We can focus them right where we want them to build up our higher level housing. And we're kind of picking half of one side of one block and one side of the other block to get all that extra stuff. And we had another Scrabble school message, so I'm throwing down. Well, actually, yeah, and making sure that they didn't have any Scrabble school, even though they actually don't need one technically, at least not to evolve, because they don't have a courthouse yet, which is something we're going to fix. Now, here's our culture. It says we don't have enough libraries, and we can do a little bit about that as well, because to evolve these houses the way we want to, we need a library anyway. So we're going to put a library in there. So we've got bazaar, Senate house, and a library. That's the extra entertainment you need to evolve your houses. And you'll notice now that we're getting these really nice fancy residences right here, kind of near the temple complex. So that's where we've got the high desirability, and we've got the extra the linen and the luxury good being sold there, and the extra entertainment from the Senate house. And that's why those houses are ready to expand. And that's also why I put in those statues to keep them from doing that, so that we can control their expansion. And here I kind of finally kicked in and decided to put in the family mansion, because I want it. Did you see that? Did you see it turn around the other way? The family mansion, I think, always faces the way you see it there. I had rotated to be the other way, and after I placed it, a few seconds later, it turned around the other way. So anyway, the reason for the family mansion is I want to get some income for myself, for my family, so that I can then turn around and make gifts back to the kingdom to raise the kingdom rating, because we don't have raw in this one, and they're a little bit slow. We've met almost all the requests. I think we may have missed one or two or been late on one or two of them. So we've done okay, but our kingdom rating's not high enough, and they don't really give you very many opportunities, to tell you the truth. They don't give you enough, and that's why I decided to go with the family mansion so that I could accumulate some Debens into a personal fund, and then turn around and give some of that back to the kingdom, and they'll all love us, and our kingdom rating will go up. All right, so here I finally decided to do what I've been thinking about doing for a long time, which is take this small cinder block and turn it into a medium cinder block. Reason being, that's the minimum size you need with that particular design in order to be able to make common residences, to use a courthouse. And this turned out to be a little more difficult than it needed to be. I'm sure it was just strictly user error. I got fooled by trying to. It's hard to tell a plaza from a garden sometimes, and I got fooled by one and ended up thinking I had road connection, and I didn't. You'll see that in a little bit. So we see here that our local gods have gotten PO'd again. I would claim great gameplay because I caught this, I think, every time, but it was more luck than anything. I still haven't got a perfect rhythm for checking on that stuff. I need to develop one, but decided to just bite the bullet and put in a bunch more temples that we don't need. It's a little frustrating to me to have to do this because it just doesn't seem like if everybody's got access to all the gods, why do you need all this stuff? But anyway, could be putting in more shrines. I guess maybe that would be easier to swallow for me. But we're going to put in a temple to each one of the local gods and keep them happy. And we have, and in truth, we have been growing very, very quickly. We've disconnected to Kingdom Road, so we'll get that reconnected up there. And you'll notice I've got a road. Everything looks good coming out of there, except see how that house, which by the way shouldn't be a house, has another goof, is right up against the road. Don't want that. Want a gap of one there, and I'll spot that and fix that here in a second. Now we're going to see a few mansions. We got some unemployment, so I decided to go ahead and let some of these expand out. So we kind of create space for them, and there we go. Now we got a mansion. Here comes another one. That's a stately manor, I should say. And our unemployment's still pretty high, so I thought, well, let's, we can use that to control the unemployment if you get a lot of it. Of course, the way I play, that's typically not my problem. My problem's the opposite. But we're going to, unfortunately, have to delete some houses to make this happen. So there we go. We got 3 stately manors. And we could easily do a 4th one, or at least get a manor out of that next house coming, if we chose to. Now, one thing you really have to watch out for, I tend to play very quickly, and sometimes I miss these messages. The worker, this one, particular one, has a lot of changes in the employment rate. And like right here, I want to make sure that we're paying more than the average. If you start paying less than the average and you're drawing taxes, bye-bye, folks. People are going to leave in a hurry. And here I am here's where the big mistake happens. I put in some, it's starting to happen. Put in some gardens, right? Which is fine. That's what you should do. And I'm looking at that and I'm going, oh, wait a minute. Actually, now that I think about it, it wasn't even broken. I'm going, wait a minute. These houses aren't evolving. And I've got my bazaar lady set to buy the grain, buy pottery, buy beer. You see, she has a lot of it. And I just kind of had a little brain cramp here. The problem is not that they aren't getting the food and stuff. I should have just clicked on one of them to look. But you notice the state they're in? That's one of the most primitive states, and they don't have water. That's their problem. But that hadn't quite punched in for me yet. They don't have water. And then I realized, well, that one house there, kind of straight up the top middle of our screen, that house should be, by this design, a water supply. But then if you make that a water supply, it's touching road on both sides, which we don't want. It's touching the inner road we want it on, and the outer road we don't want it on. So here I am I think I'm finally going to fix that. Oh no. Oh, God. No, I forgot. This is I'm thinking, oh, well, the program has failed, right? It didn't dawn on me it was my fault. Of course, it's the program's fault. So I thought, well, maybe if we place another bazaar, that'll kind of reset it and it'll work correctly. But no, that doesn't work either, because this bazaar is going to go buy stuff, right? And decided to put some beauty in here to make it pop. There we go. Now it pops. But, what's the deal? And you might be wondering too, why was the other one already improved like that? How did it get enough beauty? Remember, these houses weren't that bad before. They were nice houses before. We've messed them up in our attempt to expand this and turn it into a larger block. And, having messed it up. So there I'm looking and saying, okay, she's got everything. What's the deal? And then there you see that scroll in. I go, oh, crap, that's supposed to be water. They're not getting water, so of course they can't evolve. But then I'm looking at it and saying, well, yeah, but that back road now is too close. So here's where I think my next mistake comes in. Yeah, delete the back road like so. And I put it back in one further away, which is all good. And put in the water supply. Great, perfect. That's just what you should do. And then I decided to move this service back over. He's for this block down there with all the clay pits and the work camp. So I want to move that firehouse back down here so he doesn't run off the wrong way. So that's all good. Everything's beautiful. Well done, well done. And now they're evolving, so I'm thinking, okay, great, problem solved. Well, actually it isn't. It isn't solved. Because you can see there, I don't have a road connection out to the rest of the world. So they're just living off what the bazaar lady already happened to have. And now I'm going to make it even worse by hiding it. So I put a road out there, but I put gardens inside it. So there's actually one tile of garden between the entry exit to the block and the service road where they can go out and get stuff. So that one's going to fail again in a little bit, and eventually we'll fix it. So here I'm seeing it devolve and evolve, and I'm just very bad problem solving skills here. I keep solving the wrong problem or misinterpreting what I'm seeing in front of me. That what's happening is some of those houses around the sides are getting entertainment, and I finally see that that's actually a little piece of garden right there cutting us off. And now watch what happens to it after we do this. Now all these entertainers can go in there and they can do their thing, and now the whole place can get entertainment. It can get food. The bazaar lady, we even had houses devolve all the way back to that to a primitive state because then they couldn't get any food because the bazaar lady eventually ran out of food because she couldn't get out to do any shopping. So now this thing is fixed. Now, as I said, that was a much bigger saga than it should have been. And in hindsight, I regretted having made that a small from the get-go. I should have made it at least a medium senator house so that we could evolve it to common residence, just because I like to have all my houses at common residence. Now here's where I check and see if we can't send a gift. So we're going to dispatch a lavish gift to the kingdom, and that's going to drive our kingdom rating up. And they have kind of a cool down period. If you want the most bang for your buck, wait a year or two before you send another gift. And we're just using this technique to get our kingdom rating up so we won't have to sit here all day waiting on enough requests to allow us to grow our kingdom meeting high enough. And apparently that linen request, I was a little bit late. They didn't like us, so that hurt us a little bit. So thank goodness we've got some demons of our own that we can spend. You see we're at 55 culture. It says we have too few places of worship. That's probably our biggest glaring problem right now. We have lots of places of worship, but not enough for the standards that the game sets for culture ratings. And yes, that was an editorial comment. I decided that the grain was a little bit slow getting over here to our nicer neighborhoods, so I decided to go ahead and take advantage of that farming right there and put in some more grain fields, and we'll set up a little work camp to staff it and be able to get a little more grain more quickly over to our nicer housing. So if we check our population under 7,000 and the room we have left, we really need a little more housing to speed this up and get our 7,500. So I decided to put in one more large block down here. We won't necessarily fill it up with housing, but we'll put in the housing that we need in order to hit our goal. And just measuring it to make sure it's going to fit in there, and it will, and that's where it'll go, and that's what you'll see next. So we're crossing over that 7,500 plateau right here, and we've put in a lot of entertainers. We have kind of backed off a lot of our industries. Like once the pyramids were done, we started deleting a lot of the work requirements there, and you can see we have a culture rating of 70. And it's a steady 70. It's not bouncing up and down. It's steady. So we're going to dispatch a lavish gift to the kingdom, and that's going to give us the kingdom rating that we need, and that should put us right over the top, sure enough. So we ended up at 70 culture, 100 prosperity, 86 kingdom rating. We got our 6 stately manners and a population of just over 7,500. And I can tell you, I hit keep governing just to keep talking about this, but you can kind of go through here and look. We've got perfect coverage. We've got plenty of musicians. You can see the ratios. We're getting like 80%, 12 out of 14, 8 out of 10, 2 out of 2 on all of them in terms of execution, except the jugglers are a little low, but they're fine. Congenial seems to be the answer for your gods. If you got them all at congenial, you're good. And then if we look at the learning, we're actually a little low on scribal schools and libraries, but we're good enough to get that 70. Now, if we wanted 100, we'd have to bump up those scribal schools and libraries to better coverage given this population. And then in public health, we're dead on. We've got everybody covered. This is the easiest one to do. All you need to do is get physician, dentist, and mortuary in every one of your blocks. Make sure they're staffed and can access everybody, and you're good to go on public health. So you got to have a lot of entertainment schools, and you've got to have a lot of scribal schools. Potentially and a ton of almost ridiculous amount of temples. But anyway, you can get there and get it to a steady state. And I can tell you that I came back later and reloaded this endpoint and kept playing and just kept watching it. It stayed at steady state 70, no cycling, because we had hit that point where for that given population, we had what we needed to have a 70 culture. So I hope that helps you understand culture a little bit. I learned a ton by doing this. It was a tremendous amount of work, but I guess it was worth it because now I feel like I got a decent understanding of culture, how culture works in Pharaoh, a new era, and maybe that'll prepare us to take on some of the bigger challenges that I'm sure are coming down the road. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope it'll help you become a better player. I hope you'll like, comment, and subscribe, and join us for our next Pharaoh, A New Era video. Thank you.